Okay, welcome to Clean Money Mondays, where every Monday we're trying to kind of give you some tips and help you move forward in this cleaning business. Tonight, we're not going to be too deep. It being the last month of the year, we definitely wanted to kind of give you guys something that would help you go into 2024 with some motion, with some momentum, right? Most of us, including myself, probably my first year ever not waiting for the first of the year to really make some moves was last year when I started like 2-3 months prior, kind of just going strong to go into the first of the year with momentum. And it changed my business big time, right? So same thing here. So what I'm saying, what can we do and not wait to 2024 to get some motion in our business? What things right now can we do in the next 20 something days left in this month that will move the needle in your business? So going into the next year, you're going into strong. So I definitely wanted to have back Coach Jen on the call to see what tips, what things we can do, some tonight and then some moving forward after this evening to help our business move strong and move forward. So Jen, the floor is yours.
Hey everyone, welcome. Happy holidays to you. With that being said, holidays are always a signal that the end of the year is here. You're going to start hearing the best 100 songs of 2023, the best videos of 2023. What's going to be your best? What's your best list for your commercial cleaning business? That's what we want to talk about tonight. I want to give you some tips, but also give you some conversation to help shift your thought process about how you think about your business. And like Wiz said, instead of waiting to the proverbial first of the year, that new year, new you mindset, I think is really important for you to start planning ahead, right? And the reason for that is from an energetic standpoint. You're not caught up in all the hype of it's the beginning of the year and the woo-woo and excited. And then by Martin Luther King Day, you're not doing anything, going to the gym, eating healthy, or being consistent in your business. So the thought process we're navigating and that we use ourselves is to start early and often. Because the benefit of it is also that if you do hit a speed bump or if you do slow down, say Christmas week, you've already gotten some things done and it's easier to pick back up and keep that movement forward as opposed to waiting and then having a lull and then trying to jump out the new year with all these ideas and thought processes. So tonight we're going to talk about 6 key areas where you should be focusing your attention and where you can kind of get a jump ahead of the year and start planning, projecting, and implementing and driving revenue for 2024. So the first thing I want to talk about and just mention, and this is not from to scare people or to come from a negative space, but I think it is important that I speak on the fact of currently the economic system, a situation that we're in this country right now. Even though the commercial cleaning industry is growing rapidly and is projected to do so for the next 7 years, it is really important that you understand where you're located, what your regional location is, what kind of actual commercial cleaning services you do, and how that correlates or relates to what's going on in the world right now. So on the one hand, it's clear to a lot of people that we are in the midst of or on the fringe of a recession. And I think it's really important that as we start this conversation, we talk about how that could potentially impact your customer budgets as well as yours, and therefore limit or change your current demand. So I think it's important that you look at the fact that occupancy rates across the country in commercial rental is low and down, about as comparable to or lower than pre-pandemic levels, which may impact cleaning requirements. Simply put, people may not be wanting to clean commercial properties as much as anymore. And that can actually put a wrench in your cleaning business. But the benefit of these kind of conversations and planning ahead is it allows you to be innovative and think outside the box. One of the things Wiz and I always say is there is no box. When we kind of get and in the funk, we have to remind ourselves there is no box. And so we can create whatever we want and get the outcome of however we want it to be. And so one of the things we can do, even looking at the downturn or potential downturn of revenue from lower occupancy rates and commercial cleaning opportunities, the fact of the matter is, because of the pandemic, it has sparked so many other avenues and ways of doing business that you may not be thinking of. And so one of the things we're going to talk about a little bit later tonight is some of the things you can do to grow your business and add ancillary products or services. But it's important that you think and be proactive. So when so maybe you have a client who used to do a whole floor for them, and now you're down to maybe 2 office suites because those properties are empty. That doesn't mean hang your head in shame and woe is me. It means think innovatively. Think of another way to service them and give them some other tools and resources that they likely aren't thinking of. So whether that's, doing a more deep clean over the winter months, you're offering sanitizing. There's a host of things that you can do. And that if you start thinking about it now and start investing time and energy now to be solutionary, it's going to make a huge difference for you. And it's going to mitigate the potential factors of a full-blown recession or any changes in your local or national economy. So, the big thing right now, heading into this conversation, I want you to be mindful of is going into 2024, just based on where we are as a country, what the financial situation is, I want you to be recession ready. That's the mindset for the early part of 2024. Be recession ready. Have your focus on what can I do to mitigate any circumstances that may typically take business away from me. And so with that being said, let's talk about some of the things that we can do. First and foremost is anticipating that there's a potential downturn, not dwelling on it, not worrying about it, not overemphasizing it, but being aware of it enough so that you can start to manage your costs and adjust your business as necessary. And the number one thing is to prepare to be flexible and offer services and pricing that some of your competitors may not be prepared to do. Because remember, you're starting 30 days out. They're going to be trying to jumpstart some stuff in January. So number one is make sure you have your cleaning standards down. Have some add-ons that you could potentially be thinking about and expanding over the next 30 days and actually put into play. You want to make sure that your services have heft. And what I mean by that is you're not just saying, oh, we do a deep clean. You want to give it some weight. You want to add some tiers or some categories so it gives people the impression that they have choices within their choices. If you tell somebody I have this one thing, they're probably going to say, no, I don't want that one thing. But if you say, I have these 3 things and 2 of these 3 things have alternatives or other things that I'm open to consider or could evaluate for you, they're more likely to be more engaged in the conversation and you're more likely able to close. And so the last thing is being adjustable, right? And being open and aware to what's going on around you, which again is what I said at the beginning of the conversation. But in this particular space, I mean it from a space of being tuned in, being tapped into what's going on, not to the point where it's causing a distraction, but read trade magazines, look at, economic newscasts, get a sense of what's going on. Join some newsletters for the industry, potentially become members of affinity groups that are commercial cleaning related. Get newsletters or emails from adjacent commercial cleaning entities like restaurants and property managers, real estate, so you can see what they're talking about, because those are all sideline industries that greatly impact the commercial cleaning space for the simple reason that those are the people that hire us. So you kind of want to know what they're talking about, what their worries and concerns are, so you can navigate and adjust accordingly. So the biggest key of the 6 things we want to take away is always going to be positioning you to be flexible. You want to have security. Everybody wants to be in that comfort zone and be able to operate in this pocket of, I know exactly what's coming in. I know exactly what's coming out. All my clients are happy and everything's perfect. Ideally, yes, but the reality of it is that's not almost always going to be the case. So what you can do to gain some movement and maintain that momentum going into 2024 is, first and foremost, look at your financial planning and management system. How are you managing your money? What does the year look like? And the first thing you want to do is make sure that you have a financial system. I come across a lot of businesses, not just in the commercial cleaning space, but trade services, particularly solopreneurs or small business owners. They just kind of wing it. They don't have budgets. They don't have a financial system. They may not have their payroll or their taxes set up appropriately. So number one, you want to make sure that you know what you have and what you need. So you're going to conduct a comprehensive review of your financial performance for the current year. And ideally, if you've been in business multiple years, you can even look back another year or possibly even two to 2021. But for sure, you want to look at 2023 and see what you did, what came in, what went out, how you managed it, who helped you manage it, and where that left you. Meaning, after you do the analysis, what are your performance rates? Are you in the hole? Are you going to be in the hole for 2023? Did you make a certain amount of money? Did you make within the goal that you had set before? Did you even have any goals for 2023? So you want to make sure from a financial standpoint, you are fully aware of and capable of understanding how to financially manage your business going forward. The worst thing you can do, the worst thing, if you don't hear anything else tonight, the worst thing you can do is to go into 2024 and not have a financial plan and system in place and a support system to be able to implement that. That's the worst thing you can do. You can do everything else kind of half-assed, but don't go into 2024 without a financial plan and all the things that you need to make it happen. So first, you're going to conduct your comprehensive review. And the first action item that I'm going to give you that you should be hyper aware of and ready to implement in the next day or two is to do your analysis. Like I said, definitely do 2023. But if you have the numbers, and look at 2022 as well, look at what clients were profitable, what services worked out for you, what retention you were able to have as far as clients and contracts. So get a full look, and not a high level. We want to drill down and look at every aspect of your business, what you were spending, what your taxes were, what you paid out for your actual technicians, whether you're using subs, whether you have employees, W-9 employees, whatever that looks like. But also, what did you spend on marketing? What did you spend on ancillary goods, i.e. entertainment or equipment? You want to have a line item for each of those things and know exactly what those expenses were. Now, if you're someone who doesn't have that because you didn't track it for 2023, absolutely get yourself positioned to be able to do that for 2024. And the best way to do that is to create a budget. If you need some help with that, I'm sure you can post questions in the chat either tonight or as we go forward, and we can point you in the right direction. But if you don't have a financial partner, meaning you don't have a bookkeeper or an accountant or both, or someone that at least can help you do some financial planning, because I know money can be stressful. It's not everybody's thing. And if it's not, that's fine. That doesn't mean ignore it. It means find the right tools and people to help you do that. So that first action item is you're going to evaluate 2023 and the previous year if you have that information, and you're going to see what worked, what didn't work, what you spent, and what you saved, what came in, what went out. All right. And then based on that information, you're going to take all that and you're going to do an assessment of how profitable you were. And the easiest way to do that is you take those two numbers, how much came in versus how much you spent, and do the math. If you're up, it's good. If you want to do a little more evolved math, you can figure out what the percentage is, what your percentage of revenue was to expenses. But even if you don't want to do all that, just know how much you spent, how much you made. If you can know those two numbers for the end of the year, you're already ahead of a lot of people. And then the next action step you're going to do, you're going to take that number and you're going to use that to determine your goal. So if your revenue was, say, $10,000 for 2023, and you spent $9,500, you made $500. That's the profit in your business. So if you want to double that, you're going to say, my new goal for 2024 is going to be $10,000. How am I going to do that? And you're going to use your numbers to do that by setting up a budget for 2024. Budgets can be intimidating and daunting, but I kid you not, there's so many resources. You can go on Google and Google a budget template for a commercial cleaning business. There's a guy on YouTube, I can't think of his name right now, who talks about budgeting for all kinds of different businesses. Again, I highly advise, if you don't have a bookkeeper, please get one. Yes, that is an expense, but it is typically an expense that can save you money, or at minimum save you a lot of headache. So get a bookkeeper and go ahead and get a budget created for 2024. And another benefit of doing this now instead of waiting until January is you're going to have a better sense of, as we move into tax time, you're going to know where you are. And with the right preparation, you can set up some things in advance so that when tax season starts as of January 1, and there's some new forms and documentation that is going to be required of anyone that has an LLC, if you're able to have your budget in play and you know you have an idea of what you can work with, is going to afford you the ability to be proactive and not, being reactive to things that you should be ahead of. So you're going to develop your detailed budget. You're going to look at your previous expenses and use that to determine your new and current ones. You're going to set some revenue goals, and you're going to think and consider of any planned investments and expansions. And that part is key, because that is where your money can work for you. When you know that, okay, I'm going to invest $1,000 in, say, a floor cleaner, then you know that if you can buy that floor cleaner in the first quarter of 2024, so January, February, March, you buy a floor cleaner, you can start cleaning floors without using a sub come March, right? So it's little things like that that can be a game changer in how you're able to use your budgeting to work for you, not just because it gives you a snapshot of what your revenue stream is, but also because it allows you to plan and be proactive in adding adding services rather. The next thing you're going to do is, from an action standpoint, you're going to outline in detail. And again, this is super important. If you don't do anything else, do this budgeting piece. You're going to outline what your supply costs and what that has looked like. So here's a scenario. Say you've been working with subs and they've been supplying all the product for your sites. And now you've decided to change your business model where you're going to have some W-2 employees and you're going to be cleaning some of the sites of your own. Do you have any idea what it costs to supply those sites? Probably not. That's an example of something you'll need to think through in advance so that you can prepare for that, so you don't have surprises. You don't want a site that's bringing you in, say, $800 a week, but then turn around and you're spending $700 on supplies because you had no idea that they went through so many garbage bags, or that, the cleaning solution that they required you to use was top of the line and super expensive. So those are the things you want to do while you're planning and budgeting. You want to see where you've been profitable, what services have been most profitable for you, and where you have margins that you can play with based on real expenses. So real time hours worked, and employee, employee, good Lord, help me with employee expenses. You want to know real time what your admin services are. So how much is your CRM? How much is your phone and internet? Those, the cost of doing business services. What do they come to? You have to know what those are, because if it gets to crunch time and you need to start cutting things back or streamlining, you want to know what you can cut back and streamline. So make sure that you know what those are. The other thing is, I know a lot of us in this industry, we sometimes kind of dibble and dabble in other areas. And so you may have more than one revenue stream. It may be commercial cleaning. You may also do windows, and you may also say do junk removal, right? So technically they're all under the commercial cleaning umbrella. They may all be under your LLC, but technically those are all different revenue streams. And you want to look at them that way because there's an opportunity where there's a downturn in one area, maybe an opportunity for an uptick in the other. So you want to have that clarity so you can, again, be solutionary and be proactive and think of ways, well, okay, I lost a cleaning client, but oh wait, they moving out, and so is everybody in this building because they're about to tear this building down. Let me go ahead and solicit all of them and do their junk removal or do their move out. So it's like things like that. You can't look at anything as an end result. There's always an extension to something. And if you approach it from a financial standpoint, not an emotional one, but a financial standpoint, it's going to give you the opportunity to kind of work some angles that you wouldn't necessarily be thinking of otherwise. The last thing you want to do is, again, with the support of a bookkeeper and or tax specialist, you want to prepare for future deductions. So like one thing I love to do in my businesses at the end of December or in December, I like to get an idea of where am I at? What do I need? What more spend down will help me with my taxes? So if I need to buy some more equipment, invest in some more education, I use the month of December to do that. And it has made a difference. One year, it made a significant difference in whether or not I had to pay. Like I ended up not having to pay because I realized I needed to spend like $8,000. So I charged $8,000 worth of lessons, and I think I bought a piece of equipment, and I bought and this was in my wedding business, but the same rule applies. I bought some wedding equipment. And then I also took a course or a class or something like that. And that helped me with my expenses. It raised my expenses enough to get me just at the threshold where I did not have to pay taxes. And so that's where budgeting, knowing your finances, having a clear understanding of your numbers, and having professional support, an actual tax professional, an actual bookkeeper, can help you kind of make those kind of moves and save yourself some headache and potential coins in the long run. So money, that, like I said, if you stop listening, do those things. Pay attention to your finances. Understand that the financial planning and management aspect of getting a jump of 2024 is a game changer. In real life, I would apply the same thing to your personal life. If you don't have a financial plan for your personal expenses for 2024, you need to work on both of them. If you don't have an expert who could support you in that process, now's the time to look for one, because they really can make life so much easier. So like I said, if you don't hear anything else tonight, do that. But I'm guessing that you're going to stay on and pay attention. So let's get to the next one, and that is employee management. Best case scenario, you have the best employees in the world. Everything works perfectly, and you don't ever have to worry about anything. But we all know that's not ever the case in any industry, especially in this business. Turnover can be high. There's a lot of if, then, that's you're not necessarily planning for. And so a good thing to do ahead of the year is to basically cheerlead your current employees and get them pumped up and put them in a position to work for you for the rest of the year, not just physically as a technician in a property or on a project or space, but get them to work for you in helping drive morale, find new business, and also find additional employees. So the first thing you want to do is close out the year by giving performance reviews. Now, if you've worked in corporate America or you have any inkling of that, I don't want you to think of performance reviews from what that nightmare typically looks like. All you really need to do is you need a 5 or 6 question like questionnaire or survey that you can give employees to ask them, what is it that they need, what's working for them, what's not working with them, and maybe like an open-ended question, any suggestions or thoughts, right? And the purpose of this is to gauge where they are. I think people misread that just because somebody comes to work every day that they're happy. People come to work every day because they need their check, right? And so you may be giving them their check and they're showing up every day and the work is getting done. But what else is happening? Do they tell people where they work? Do they tell their friends that may be looking for a job like, hey, I work here and I love it. I get paid well. I'm treated great. And, come work. There's so many things that your employees can do for you that I don't think people realize that your first customer is your employee, because they are the ones who are going to ensure and make sure that your clients are happy. So employee management is a great way to keep some momentum and get excited about 2024. One of the things you can do after you do your performance review is actually schedule time to meet with each of your employees. I know it's a lot. If you have a large staff, it may not make sense to do it individually, but maybe you can do site visits. You can have a holiday get together, but you can do something where there's some face-to-face interaction that's not over the mop bucket, right? You don't always want them to see you only when there's a problem or when you're on site managing them. You want them to relate to you as adult to adult, employee to employer, but also for them to know that their human capital is helping your business maintain and grow. So one of the things you can do right now, if you've not done it already, is plan to get together for the end of the year, or plan it for first thing at the beginning of the year, right? Do something where you all can get together, have fun. It doesn't have to be crazy. One of my clients is taking his team to Top Golf. I have another one. They're in a warmer climate, so they're having a barbecue with their backyard where all their employees are invited, and they're inviting their subs too. So there's a number of things that you can do. Of course, money's always, should be front of line. Think about that. But even sometimes it's just as simple as, instead of sending a text message, actually get some Christmas cards done. Send your employees a Christmas card. Slip a $25 Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts gift card in it. Show them that you appreciate them, so that as we move into the new year, not only are they excited, but they see that you care and you're excited and you want them to stay on the team. So the next thing you can do from a very practical operation standpoint, again, super important. If you don't have one, now's the time to do the work to implement one, is an employee handbook. It's vital to the success of your employees and to your business overall. This is your standard operating procedures, your who, what, when, where, why of how your business operates as it relates to your employees. It's a valuable tool for them. They know what your expectations are. They know what the consequences are. And it's something that they can refer to whenever they need. And ideally, it's signed and dated and stored somewhere, either hard copy or digitally, so that if there's ever a issue or you have to come back to it, it's there and it's available. So if you have one, now's a great time to make updates and review it with employees, especially like your managers or supervisors if you have them. Talk with them and get them to weigh in on what's working, what rules or standards kind of seem to make sense or don't, and make those edits to your employee handbook. And if you don't have one, Google is your friend, YouTube is your friend. Look up employee handbooks. As a matter of fact, I think we have one that we use, and I think we could probably put it in the pin it in the Facebook page if anybody wants to use it as a template to build their own. Doesn't have to be rocket science. It doesn't have to be, like I said, like from a corporate standpoint where it's eloquent and all the perfect words. It could be bulleted with lists and what to do and what not to do. And here's what happens if you do what you're not supposed to do. It could be that simple, but you need to have that. So create it and or update it this month. Other thing you can do, which is a lot of fun, I touched on it a little bit, is create bonuses and incentives. One of the things I like to do at the end of the year is create like a contest or a challenge for my team going into the new year. So one that I used to do all the time is if you bring in new business, you get a bonus, you get a percentage of it. And that would always work super well because basically they're now part of the sales team. They're cleaning, they're working, they're techs, but they're also out, potential. They're listening to conversations, they're engaging conversation. So they're working on your behalf to bring in business. One, because it's going to keep them working, but also you've incentivized them to give them a little cut of that check. It'll go a long way. So I would definitely recommend that. It doesn't have to be crazy. It could be $100. It could be whatever. You figure that out, what makes sense for you and your team and your current business and what your revenue stream is. But it's a great way to get them engaged and excited. Another way is to incentivize them by referrals. So if they bring in a new employee, it super helps with hiring because there's the assumption that they're not going to bring anybody in that will make them look bad. So if you can have them help you find people to hire or at minimum interview, you give them a bonus for that too. So if a person is hired that they bring in and say they work 60 days without any infractions or issues, they make $50 and the person gets $50. So there's a lot of things you can do, and there's a lot of ideas and resources out there. Again, Google is your friend. Google, what incentives can I use to help my employees help me bring in new clients or help me bring in new employees. There's plenty of information out there. All the AI, ChatGPT, Claude, all of them. If you type those type of prompts in, it'll give you a laundry list of ideas. So take advantage of them and do them. And so the next action item is, if you decide that you want to do that, I want you to actually create a referral incentive program. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be this long thought out, super complex thing. It could be as simple as, if you refer a new employee, they stay 60 days, you get $50. If they stay 100 days, they get 100, whatever it is. Do it, put it on paper, implement it. And I guarantee you, your team will be excited, because what it demonstrates is you not only trust them to do their job, but you trust them to help find other people to do the work as well. It goes a long way for morale and creating excitement and energy around the business. The next area outside of performance reviews is overall training development. I think it's super important that you invest in your team, right? Because at the end of the day, like I said, they're your first customer. They're going to guarantee that your customer is happy. They're going to protect your business. Or if you're not taking care of them, they will be the demise of your business. So it's highly, highly, highly suggested that you put some tools and mechanisms in place to help them develop their skills. So, you can do a two deal for one effort kind of thing, and have a holiday event that's actually a training thing also. You can have someone come in. We have a client from our first boot camp. She has a commercial cleaning business, and she is a phenomenal technician. She has a whole system that she can teach. Like, she's a perfect example of someone that you could have come in. Shout out to Nora, the cleaning lady. You could have her come in either on video, live, and do a training session with your technicians, and then, have pizza afterwards. So you can get 2 bang for your buck type of things. Like, that's what I'm talking about, being creative and being innovative and being solutionary. And the best thing about that is you get all those 3 things. You get one-on-one FaceTime with your technicians and subs. You're training them. You're giving them information and materials that they can use to improve their processes, skills, and systems. And then third, you're building morale by doing something fun and engaging that everybody can participate in. The next thing that you could do is, and this is more ideal for your either subcontractors and or your mid-level managers or supervisors, and that's provide professional development opportunities for them. So this is a little bit a step above, like just a training course. And what this does is it helps you help them be better, right? Because I think we all agree we get into business so that we can make more money, but also that we can have a certain amount of freedom and flexibility with how we live, right? So what you want to do is with this professional development idea is you want to talk to your managers, subcontractors, supervisors, and maybe even some techs that you have that have the potential to move into those levels. You want to give them something, whether it's a course, whether it is a book to read. You want to give them something, some type of support tool or mechanism so that they can be learning and growing as you move into the new year also. And it's awesome because one of the things I know works really well is if you take someone who say is a site manager and you say to them, listen, I'm going to need to hire a manager to cover 3 sites come February. Here's some things I want you to look at. Here's some things I want you to do. And depending on how this, like how you receive this, let's talk about you being able to move into that position. So one, you're telling them, I trust you and I believe in you. I believe you can do it. But then you're also giving them the tools to be able to move into that place. A lot of people don't move further because there's no one guiding them. If they're not being shoved, or if they're not like, someone's next to them kind of helping them along, they don't necessarily do it. So because they're already in your business, you're already, you've got their attention, invest in them. Take the time, the money, and resources, and you don't need to pour a ton. You don't need to, pay tuition, but you would be surprised what buying someone a couple of books and giving them an extra day off does to help them go, wow, this owner believes in me. Let me show up for them. Let me do this extra. Plus, there's an opportunity that I'm going to be one of the first people he's looking at for this new job or this new position. It's a game changer. It may not seem like it, but trust me, if you have good people working for you, they will want to stay working for you, and they'll do even more if you can help them be better. The last thing you can do is look at your schedule, right? So holidays are interesting because people want off, but places still need to be cleaned. There's all kinds of things that kind of break down. Like it seems like everybody like kind of shuts down and they take a nap during the holiday season. And I think this is every industry, but I know with the commercial cleaning business industry, you don't necessarily have that luxury. Things are still open. Things still need to be cleaned. There's still minimum standards that need to be met, which means that likely you will be cleaning while everybody else is at home on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve or whatever. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you take a look at your cleaning staff scheduling, like how efficient is your staffing? Look at all your jobs. Make sure you don't have too many people working. Make sure you don't have too little people working. And again, it's a great opportunity to take a mid-level person who you'd like to move up to help you work on that. Like that's a great project to give someone who is just a site manager or they're like a lead tech. Have them say, hey, listen, we need to look at these sites and we need to make sure we're being efficient and we're getting as much out of these 4 workers as we possibly can. Let's look at this. So again, good one-on-one time, you're investing in them, and also they're doing some work that's going to help ideally lead them to wanting to do more for you. So take this time in December to make sure that you're staffing efficiently and effectively and that your schedules are optimized, right? I'll give an example. Like, so right now we have a situation where one of our techs at one of our sites, she's sick. And so thankfully the other technician is willing to double up and double down and take over that shift and do the work. But if she weren't, one of us would have to go, like we'd have to figure it out. Somebody would have to go clean. So if you can do that before it's a problem, the less likelihood that you're scurrying and worrying and trying to figure that out. And so it works twofold. If you plan in advance, you have a plan B. But if you plan in advance and you take care of your people, like I'm suggesting with this employee management strategy during December, you won't have to go find anybody else because your techs will be happy, excuse me, and they'll be willing to step up the plate in emergencies when they have to. So take good care of your people, like real talk. Take good care of your people, invest in them, make sure they have what they need. And that includes the rules, what they can and can't do, everything from uniforms to the proper documentation so they can clock in and clock out, manage their time, all that stuff. You want to make sure that they have those things. And if they do, that they're functioning well and you can carry them into 2024. And in your assessment, if you find that they don't, now's the time to invest in them and figure out and how to get it. So come January, you're good to go. Next, I want to talk about client acquisition and retention. And like I said, your employees are your true first client. Now we're going to talk about your real client, the real customers. And there's no simple way to say this other than your business is only going to be as successful as your outcomes are with your clients. What does that mean? You can do everything right. You can have all the best marketing. You can have the best back end, all your operations set up. Everything could be slick and synchronous. And, when you click a button, it does this and it sends a message to that one. And then it keys that. All that's fantastic. But if your clients aren't happy, you are just spinning your wheels and basically just burning money. So the first thing you can do to prepare for 2024 and get excited about it is to find out how your clients feel. It's a little daunting. It can be scary because the truth of the matter is everybody's not going to be happy. I mean, you might get lucky, but the likelihood is everybody's not going to give you a 5-star. And that's okay. You want that because that contrast of knowing what's not working is what's going to give you the thought process to be innovative and create solutions that actually work and that actually will allow you to make more money. So the first thing I recommend anybody do when it comes to client acquisition and retention at the end of the year is do a survey. Do a survey. Whatever your CRM is, hopefully you're using Jobber. If not, we'll put a link in the convo so that you can. But whatever your CRM is, whether it's an Excel spreadsheet, Swift, whatever you're using, you want to send out a survey to your customers for the year and get feedback from them. The easiest way I like to do it is, again, a 1 to 5 question scaling system where they can, score you 1 to 5 stars in any number of categories. And what that does is it allows you to pinpoint some weaknesses and successes that you're currently experiencing with your current client base. It's real-time data. And the truth of the matter is, if I could extend this tip a little bit better, you want to be doing this throughout the year, throughout the contract term. We try and do it quarterly, check in, how's it going, anything you need to work on. But at minimum, if you can do it at the end of the year, it's going to provide you a ton of information that you can use for the next 12 months, right? So again, do a 1 to 5 scaling system to get satisfaction levels from your current clients. That's the action item. That's super easy to do. Again, anything from Google, YouTube, AI, do a search for a template for a questionnaire. The information's out there. You don't have to overthink it. You just have to do it. And then once you identify what those areas for improvements are, now you can create a basis from what to fix. So if you're getting, say, the job is great, but they're always late. Now okay, there's an efficiency problem that we talked about in the previous section, the employee management, that I got to have a conversation about. You see how it's all interrelated, and that if you start working on and tackling these things simultaneously, it doesn't become overwhelming in mid-May when everything else is going on. So you can start working on these things and figuring out what's not working currently, and conversely, what is working. So you're going to take that feedback, whether it's negative or positive, and you are going to use it to build your business. How are you going to do that? Because you're going to tailor your retention efforts based on that data. For example, if a client, I will use the same one, the work is great, but they're always late. How do you fix that? What is the conversation you have with the client? The conversation you have with the client is, I'm so happy that you're happy with the outcomes. Let me look at ways that I can figure out how to make sure that they're on time. And maybe you just ask what time, you've presumably you talked to your staff already. And maybe they're saying, we have a previous job that's an hour away, and with traffic, it makes us late. So, okay, maybe you need to make some adjustments. Or maybe you have a cleaning lady. She's fantastic. She's just hella slow. You have to have those conversations and figure that out so you can fix it. You do what you need to do with your team. It may mean making some adjustments, moving people around, more oversight or supervision. And unfortunately, it could even mean letting somebody go. But ultimately, what it's going to allow you to do from the client survey perspective is you're going to be able to say to the client, okay, so I fixed this problem. What else do you need? How else can I make this more efficient for you? And chances are they're going to say, well, I such and such and such and such. And it could be something that you can actually offer a service for, or it may be something that you can't. But my point is, you're now in dialogue with the client, and you are now having a level of conversation with them that is beyond sales. You're figuring out their problems. And that's what clients want. They want to know that you're willing and able to figure out their problem and then deliver that for them. So the client survey is just that. It gives you the opportunity to do that at the end of the year. Like I said, ideally you would do it throughout the year, but at minimum at the end of the year, so that you can then plan how you're going to retain and help those customers. Because case in point, using that same example, if they're always late, but they're happy with the cleaning, and we fixed that, and it's now June and everything's running smoothly, more than likely, you can guarantee that job is going to be renewed or the contract reinitiated, right? Because you've been doing the job, but now you addressed her concerns and you fixed the problems. So it can help you plan out and be thoughtful about how to retain customers in a more intentional way. Not just, oh, we're going to make them happy and give good customer service. Because what the hell does that mean? It doesn't mean anything if you haven't identified what potential issues or challenges they're having. So you definitely want to do the client survey, have conversations as a result of that, and then position them to be able to take that and use that to grow your revenue stream by planning long term. Excuse me for a minute because I can't breathe. Sorry about that. The next thing you want to do is contract renewal strategy. So this one is a big one. And I think that this is one that unfortunately people don't think about, and it ends up leaving money and opportunity on the table. So when I say contract renewal strategy, oh goodness, most people, they will wait, and we're talking about this in December, but I want you to think of applying this 2 to 3 months out from any contract, right? But definitely for December, you can employ it as well. But most people will say, okay, this contract ends in January. And then like maybe it ends the end of January. They'll start in January 1st having conversations and trying to figure out how to get the contract again. No, you should be working that angle to renew that contract as far as 2 to 3 months out. Because and it really should be ongoing, but at minimum, the focus should be at least 2 to 3 months out. So if you can do this for every contract that you have, regardless of when it expires in December, it's going to put you ahead of the game. Because one, you'll have a laundry list of everything that is expiring. You can organize it by date, and you know when revenue is going to continue versus slow down versus stop altogether. That's number one. Two, is going to allow you to see what your key accounts are in like present day, real time. The third thing is going to allow you to see, okay, this $10,000 a month, this $2,000 a month, and this $1,000 a month, they're all expiring come February, which means we need to make sure that we're doing all the things, that we're supporting our team and they're supporting the client so they can have everything they need. It's so important for you to make sure you have a plan to renew your contracts. Do not wait until the month of or even just the month before. So you can come up with a strategy for December that you then can implement as needed, depending on when your contract's end. I've seen instances where, like I have a client, they're on a month-to-month model. It's really interesting too, because I balked at it at first, but it actually is working really well for them. Part of their kind of incentive to people is we're going to go month to month. So if you're not happy, fire at will. And what that does is it forces them to be hungry about every contract every single month. They can't rest on their laurels at all because every contract is up for renewal every 30 days. It sounds crazy, but it builds a muscle and a certain level of resiliency that you don't have when you know, oh, well, you know, we got them for another 6 months. Well, not if you piss them off, or not if, you know, something happens where that company goes out of business, or any number of things. So what you want to do is you want to come up with a strategy that is more about the mental aspect of it. It that keeps you hungry, that doesn't have you thinking, oh, they're not, they've renewed for 4 years. Well, what's going to guarantee that they renew for the 5th? Planning that now, having a process and a plan is going to be something that makes it more likely that they'll renew year after year after year. The other piece of that too is that within that, managing your renewal is a good way to be aware of your quality control and oversight. What does that mean? So in this industry in particular, there's all kinds of safety certifications, rules, and regulations that technically you should be aware of and be using to help manage your business. That's everything from OSHA. If you operate in the green space, there's some certain green certifications and standards you need to meet. And then you're just your general safety about like how to mix chemicals and how to store chemicals, how to use certain equipment, all those types of things, right? If you can have those things bulleted out for each contract, you always know what safety measures you need to have in place and be aware of. I have heard horror stories of people where the contract was great, it was going well, but because no one was paying attention, they didn't have the appropriate certifications to be doing a specific type of cleaning at that property or site. They didn't lose the contract because they didn't do a good job. They didn't lose the contract because the client wasn't happy. They lost the contract because an inspector came in and basic shit wasn't done properly. A lock wasn't on the hazardous materials cabinet. The guy who was operating the floor buffer had headphones on. Somebody was cleaning us with certain chemical and didn't have protective gear on. Those are the things that we don't think about because we get comfortable. Again, I know I'm going to get this contract, so we don't do our due diligence. We don't stay on top of the things that actually make or break your ability to get a contract. So again, you want to take advantage of having this strategy and then all the little line items that help make sure that you're going to get that contract. So it's making the client happy, speaking to the strengths of that account, meaning you know who all the players are. You have a good rapport with the property manager or the business owner, or whoever that person is on the property side. You know what quality control standards need to be in place, and you are actively implementing them and monitoring them. And then the other thing is, you know, doing these 3 things, they allow you to maximize your contracts and structure them in a way where you could potentially gain more business, but also where you can more consistently manage your cash flow. Here's how that works. I'll use RNS as an example. We have a client where we do snow removal and we do cleaning at 2 of their two locations, right? Our goal is to always leverage doing a great job across the board. But because snow season is when it is, we definitely want to make sure we take care of them cleaning time. So because we're cleaning year round, snow is, if we're lucky, 3-4 months out of the year. We don't want to piss them off in June because come, again, if we're lucky, November, December, it's snow season and we're going to renew that contract. So that's an example of how you can leverage taking care of and knowing what your contracts can consist of, what the weaknesses and shorts are, what the benefits of there are, what the quality issues are, and knowing those and taking advantage of those to use to ideally either build new business or keep new business. So you always want to make sure that, you're making a commitment to the contract, right? By doing what the contract expects, i.e. fulfilling the scope of work. But also you want to be able to look at that contract and say, is there potential for anything else here? Do they have other sites? Is there something we're not doing for them? Can we become more full service for them? Would it be beneficial for them to know that we're OSHA certified and maybe we can oversee or take over this aspect of their business that they have been doing or have somebody else doing that may not be doing well? So that's the kind of questions you want to have, and that's why you want to build out this contract renewal strategy, because it'll allow you to speak to all those things and act accordingly. So your action item for this particular category is I want you to create the strategy and then go a step further and create a personalized loyalty program for your clients. And what that's going to do is you're going to be demonstrating that you're thanking them for renewing while also backdoor encouraging and motivating them to actually renew. So maybe you're going to say, running a special, end of the year special. If you're due for renewal before June of 2024, if you sign your contract and renew today, we're going to take off 5%, 10%, I don't know, whatever. So think through that. Look at what you have. See what makes sense. And if that does make sense, by all means do it. If it doesn't make sense for you to do that type of personalized loyalty program, at minimum, send everybody a Christmas card. I'm kidding, but I'm serious. It makes a difference. The last thing you do for this client acquisition and retention piece is the actual acquisition part, right? It's your marketing. And I love marketing because I like the storytelling aspect of any business. If you're not a natural salesperson, creating a marketing plan or a marketing initiative within your overall marketing plan that I hope you have already is going to be vital. So what you can do, and this is quick, down and dirty, doesn't require a whole bunch of money, doesn't require a whole bunch of time and effort. Plan and launch a marketing campaign to attract new clients. Pick something and run with it. And I'm not kidding. Pick a season that's coming up. Capitalize off the holiday, Black Friday, New Year, New You, Clean You, whatever. Come up with something clever. Have fun with it, but pick a marketing campaign around your ideal client. So for example, if you clean restaurants and your ideal client is a restaurateur or restaurants that either is franchised and or has multiple locations, or like they're like a restaurant group, what you're going to do is you're going to get a list of all the restaurateurs that fit that demographic, and you're going to maybe do walk-ins, and you're going to go in and you're going to have your sanitation packet, and you're going to say, hey, we do nightly and deep cleans for restaurants, and we want to know what's your biggest complaint. What's the thing you hate about cleaning your restaurant every night? They're going to tell you what it is. And then you're going to say, well, thanks for that. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a sanitizer. We're going to spray, wipe down your doors and your high touch entry points before your food service begins. You're going to do that. You're going to collect that information. 2 of you should go, because one's going to be spraying and scoping out the land. The other one is going to be collecting information and chatting up either the manager, the owner, whoever, even the hostess, one of the waitresses, but you're going to be engaging and talking to them. And what that's going to do is now you have information and you have a resource. And if you do that 5-10 times in just your local area, you now have 10 cold to warm leads to start to network and build a relationship with that could potentially lead to business. Okay. So again, not a big deal. It's taking you something you've done maybe on a Thursday afternoon, Tuesday afternoon, when, slow time for restaurants or whatever. Be creative. But like I said, have fun. Like, do something outside of the box or where there is no box. Because the main thing you want to do is highlight your ideal client and do something to expand the margins by going out and talking to them. This is not where you sit and I have my marketing plan and it'll come. This is a campaign where you can kind of go off the beaten path and you can do something very specific and singularly focused because you're going after a specific group within your specific group. The second part of that is utilize your social media, email marketing, any targeted advertising to increase your visibility and to get feedback. Because again, I always say marketing is not sales. Marketing is data collection. Sales is sales. Marketing is data collection. When you are focused on marketing, you are in the business and the efforting of collecting information to then use during your sales efforts. Be clear about that. Marketing is not sales. Marketing is marketing and promoting. It's being out, listening, talking, collecting information, taking that, packaging it in a way that you now can either use for sales yourself or turn over to your sales team so they can use that information to hone in and connect with your potential client and turn them into an actual client. So definitely take advantage of that during the holidays. Typically speaking, people are a little bit more open. They're more friendly. Like I said, that whole New Year, New You is huge. You can kind of do a play on words, new year, new building, new whatever, new gym. Like I always joke and say, now's a good time. If you clean gyms, to hit up the gyms. So, because you can literally say, everybody and their mama going to be here on January 1st. Let's make sure it's healthy for them. And we'll be back in Valentine's Day when they're all gone. But like those are the things, like it's that kind of clever use of language and kind of play on words that you can use to grow your business, depending on what your specialty is or what your ideal client is. So again, just real quick, client acquisition and retention. You want to take surveys, get a read on where your clients are, whether they're happy or not, what's working for you, what isn't. You want to create a plan to be able either to incentivize them or to continue to work with them and grow the relationship so that you can either upsell or, if nothing else, get referrals for them. You want to have a contract renewal strategy where you know all the contracts that you have, when they're expiring, what they entail, if you're successfully meeting what they entail. So if you're successfully completing the scope of work and what other ancillary things within that you're able to do, i.e. quality controls, your engagement with their team, etc. You want to know what that picture looks like so you can use pieces of it to either grow the business or at minimum, keep them happy. The next area that I want to look at is business growth and expansion. And here again, the business growth and expansion is it's covered under all these areas, but there's a couple of things that you can specifically do. And these are a little bit more, I guess you would say refined or detailed. They require a little bit more efforting. But one of the things you can do now very affordably, almost for free, is additional market research. So now's a good time if you want to grow your business and you want to, dip your toe in some new water, some potential new business. A great way to do it, again, is to use AI software, ChatGPT, Claude, all the other ones that are out there, and literally ask it, what are some new, I currently do XYZ in my commercial cleaning business. Give me 3 additional potential industry trends or market demands that I can explore to drive revenue. And let it work. See what it does, right? See what it gives you. They all may be great. One may be great, whatever. But you can do that for free. Whereas back in the day, you had to pay for that. You absolutely had to pay for that, and it would cost a grip. And so now you can do that in a matter of minutes and not, put a whole bunch of money behind it, put effort behind it, and see how that works. December is a good time to do that. So you want to potentially look for any niche markets that are new to you or that are extensions of what you already do. You want to look at potentially adding additional services that align with your current industry needs. For example, I'll use the client that is the restaurateur, the restaurant cleaner. He said to me, and he may be on here. I'm not going to say who he is, but if you're on here, hey, he mentioned that in his region, they're like getting the hoods cleaned is a thing. And I said, what you mean? He said, like, they're excited about me doing the deep clean, but almost always everyone says, yeah, but we got to wait like 2-3 months to get our hoods clean. And I said, okay, so when are you going to be? He said, because there's only like 1 or 2 companies. And I said, okay, so when are you going to be the third? And he paused for a minute. He was like, yo, I was kind of thinking that. I said, yeah, that market is wide open to you. If your core client who is excited to already talk to you about you cleaning their space, and they're saying to you, but this is the other problem, and you have the potential to solve that by taking some classes, get some certifications, et cetera, by all means, you need to do that. That's an example of an investment that just makes sense, right? So that's what you want to be able to do in this business growth and expansion section. You want to look at all the things that make sense for your business, potentially and currently. So currently, he does restaurant cleaning. That's a no-brainer. There's so many add-on services. He can add windows. He can add floors. He can add degreasing. But that hood situation, that's a whole game changer. That has the potential to change the trajectory of his business and his life because it's a clearly needed service, and there's more demand than there is supply. And that's what you want to look for. And that's why you want to use times like the end of the year to test where is there high demand, and very absolutely, play with things. I've had people who in this kind of slow period, if you will, they've created a whole nother product that actually superseded and ended up driving and bringing in more revenue than the original business. If you got a bomb cleaner solution that's natural, now's the time to play with it. Now's the time to cook something up and, test it out and see and get some feedback. To go to a client and say, hey, this month we're going to be using this product and I want your honest feedback. And what if they come back and say, this is the best, it's never smelled better, it's never looked brighter, cleaner, etc. What is that? And meanwhile, it's a recipe you've had folded up in your pocket and you've been sitting on, but now you take the initiative, the time to actually do something with it. So now's the perfect time to be doing those type of things. Like try something different. This is the time to go out kind of on a limb and see what you can bring in. The next piece is technology. A lot of people are afraid of technology. I am a technology nerd. I have a significant CRM background from using them and building them across all the different industries I've worked in. I'm a garbage in, garbage out person. So I believe that if you have a strong CRM and you give it the information you need, you can extract from it and slice and dice that information to do virtually whatever you want. So technology is a great opportunity to take advantage of this time of year. For the primary reason is because it allows you to refine your operations without too much disruption. Chances are there's not a lot happening that's new, right? You're like, again, we're at the end of the year, we're wrapping things up, we're looking back, we're analyzing, we're collecting data, we're kind of strategizing. You're not necessarily onboarding any new clients in December, right? So it would make perfect sense to evaluate and invest in new technologies and systems that can help you streamline your operations, improve your service delivery. Again, to full transparency, I am affiliated with Jobber. I not because of anything other than I think they're a great product. It's easy to use. It's one of the more affordable ones. And I think the thing for me that I like most about them is that they have great customer service, and that is hard to come by. They're super helpful. They have a great library on YouTube. But the truth of the matter is, it doesn't matter what system you use. It's Service Pro, QuickBooks for Home Professional. It doesn't matter what the system is, right? But the key is for you to be using it as fully as possible, and that you're optimizing all the functionality that it has. If you only put a person's first name and their phone number and part of their address, guess what? When it's time to go and do a survey or follow up with them or mail them something, you're not going to be able to do it. So now is the time to be able to focus on that and really make sure that it functions the way that it needs to. The other key part of that is with lead generation, right? So, the lead generation system that we use is kind of twofold. We have a lead generation platform that is like ideally the initial contact, and we move them through our system, how we navigate and interact with them, and ideally move them into being a client. Once we're pretty sure they're going to be a client, we put them in Jobber, we send them a quote, et cetera, et cetera. The scope of work is built out. We execute the contracts, and then we manage them in Jobber. They're out. You can do the same thing, it doesn't matter what you use, but the key is to have a system in place. I don't care if you're old school and you use a notebook, paper, and pencil. That's tedious, and it's going to take you a long time, and God forbid you lose that notebook, but ultimately it doesn't matter. What matters is having the system. So make sure that you have a system in place that starts from lead generation all the way through thanking the customer after you receive payment for their invoice. Okay. You want to have that. That's super, super important as far as technology integration. You want all the things to work together and be as seamless as possible. And if you don't have that set up now's the time to work on it and figure it out. And I will say, if you have questions about how to make that work, happy to help with that. Again, just like anything else, send us a message. You can DM on Instagram and Facebook, TikTok, and let us know what you have questions about, and we'll do our best to answer it for you.
Jen, what's your social media tags?
Yeah. So on
Instagram,
Instagram,
whatever you want to call it,
I am Jennifer G. Bell Coaching. On Facebook, I'm Jennifer G. Bell Coaching. I don't have TikTok. I mean, I do, but I don't use it. So you can DM Wiz, and if it's a question that I need to specifically answer, I will absolutely do so. But Instagram, Facebook, you can absolutely find me, and I'm committing myself to being more present in the Clean Money chat. I just don't go on Facebook other than for business, so I have to remind myself to check it on the page. But for sure, those two places you can definitely find me. And of course, Wiz is all over the place, so you can message him if need be. But yeah, absolutely. Just like we use our technology to have fun and kind of check out and play on the phone, use the technology to grow your business. Use the technology to be aware of what your customers need. Use the technology to get paid faster. Because that's the thing I don't think people realize. When you have integrated technology systems, I forgot what the specific percentages, but you get paid like 60 or 70% faster because people can click a button as opposed to writing a check and nobody wants to do that. Technology is a game changer. Now's the time to work on it. And what I want you to do is, from an action item standpoint, I want you to, if you don't have a dedicated CRM, I want you to look into one. Doesn't have to be Jobber, but look into a dedicated customer relation management tool. That's what CRM is. And figure out how that can help you with all the things you need. Find the one that's going to be the most helpful to you and the most financially suitable. And if you need help with that, let us know. Last thing with the client acquisition and retention is networking, right? You got to get out in these streets and talk to your peers. That's why these chats and these groups are so invaluable, right? You are able to meet with like-minded people. You can ask questions, you can get support, you can complain and vent with people who get it because they are either in the same boat or they, they've been there. So networking is a fabulous opportunity to grow your business. And the simple reason for that is partnership, right? You never know who needs what where. We can speak to multiple folk that were in our coaching boot camp that were able to support, and they're working together now. They're creating initiatives and other businesses together right now. So we know it works, right? So, to help with your business growth and expansion, it's super important to network and get out there. If you want to add one action item you can commit to doing, find one affiliate group or organization, just one. It can be your local SCORE networking group. It could be your, Department of Labor, local Department of Labor. It could be your, Wiz, in your community with the people. They usually are responsible for everything, like your downtown and your stuff. Chamber of Commerce.
Not chamber. I was about to say Chamber of Commerce. Yeah.
Your Chamber of Commerce. If you're in a frat or sorority, if you have a primary industry, say you're a nurse or you're a teacher, if you know of like meetups online, find one. Just commit to one and commit to going to one of those meetings once a month for 2024. Just one. Just one. If you're ambitious, do two, but for sure, just one. If you commit to participating with one of those things, because they all usually meet monthly, if you commit to that once a month, first of all, just the sheer number of people that you're going to be put in front of that you wouldn't have been put in front of with no effort. You just go into a meeting. You're going to a cocktail party. You're going to a luncheon. You're going to whatever their usual meeting setup is. Commit to doing that. Make that your action item for December. And I guarantee you, at minimum, it's going to do two things, maybe three. One, it's going to boost your confidence because you're going to be out and about, and it's going to force you to engage with people that in a way that you may not be used to doing. And the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. Number two, it's going to put you front and center in front of people you would not necessarily ordinarily meet. And number three, it is going to demonstrate for you how business actually works. Because one of the things I often say is, I'm not sure that we as entrepreneurs, particularly in this blue collar, trade services, commercial industry space, really understand how business works. It really boils down to who you know. And it may not, like we talk about the circle of influence and, your 6 degrees of separation, the internal group of people, and how to access them to get your first clients. But then there's a gap where you've got to just be able to go get new clients that are not necessarily connected to your circle of influence or 6 degrees of separation. They're new people. And in order to get new money, you got to get new people. So networking is going to allow you to do that and do it in a really effortless way. And it's good practice too, to just be out in these streets, talking to people, giving out your card or sharing your social media, whatever it is, whatever the tool it is, but be out here talking to people and letting them know what you do and finding out, again, your marketing, you're collecting data, find out what they need, and then figure out a solution how to deliver it for them. The next one in this group, and how we doing on time, Wiz? I'm not paying attention. We got about another 15 minutes?
Give me another 10 minutes.
Got it. All right. So this one right here, this is the one. This is the one that most people completely overlook, either for one or two reasons. They don't see the value and significance of it, or they're afraid to address it. And that is your mental and operational preparedness. Number one is self-development. What can you do between now and January to grow yourself? Right? What can you do to shift your perspectives about things that you struggle with? Are you a naysayer? Or as I like to say, do you operate from a place of no? Are you challenged with being able to support your team? Are you struggling with balancing your home life and your business life? Have you noticed that since you've gotten fully invested in this entrepreneurial gig, you've gained weight, or you've started smoking or drinking or doing something that you never used to do before or only did casually? What's going on with you? And how is that you affecting your mental game and the way you show up in your business, right? So one thing you can do right now is do an assessment. I kid you not. Everybody and their mama who's a life and health coach is giving free assessments right now. Take them. You don't have to sign up for coaching unless you want to, but take the online and free life assessments. And here's why. It will help you focus from a very friendly and non-judgmental way and understand what you need and where you're currently at and what's working and what's not working. So if you recall at the beginning of this conversation, we talked about doing an assessment and analyzing the financial setup of your business, right? The inside, the guts, the numbers, knowing your numbers. I want you to do the same thing for yourself as it relates to mental and operational preparedness, because you will hear me say this every time I speak on this subject. Your business is a reflection of you. Period, point blank. If you feel like crap, eventually your business will look and feel like crap. If you are fit, focused, energized, and have a plan, it is highly likely that your business will function the same way. So the number one thing you want to do, and actually I'm going to take this back. Before I said the finance is the only thing you need to listen to. This is equally, if not more important, because if you can't get your mind right, you can't get your business right, or you can't keep it right. So what you want to do is you want to do some risk assessment. Like I said, take advantage of the pre-New Year, New Me situation. If you can get an assessment, take a little, a test, do a free discovery call. Talk to someone about where you are. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? What do you worry about? What are you excited about? What are your fears? What are your concerns? Talk to somebody about that so that you can have a clear view of what's going on with you, and so you can see how that implements that business. It implements your business. Because here's what people don't realize. If you are stressed and worried about money, even if you have consistent money coming in, that mental money block you have is energetically going to negatively at some point affect your business. It's a fact. You can believe it or not believe it. It is a fact. It is universal law. What you're thinking and believing to be true has to show up. So if you're worried about not being able to pay bills at the end of the month, even though you're actually paying bills at the end of the month, you are setting yourself up for that being an issue. If you're worried about being able to hire the right people or having issues, with your human capital piece of your business, I can guarantee you have those same issues in your personal life. So it's super beneficial to do what I call like a risk assessment and identify potential challenges and risks that you're personally experiencing so that you can navigate them in a whole well-being kind of perspective so that they don't impede and negatively impact your business. The second thing you can do is have a plan. I'm being, again, fully transparent. I had a flourishing, great business, and then I got very sick. And my business partner at the time, my cousin, it all kind of fell on her. And the truth of the matter is that didn't work, right? We did not have a plan for when the shit hits the fan. So the other thing you want to do from a mental and operation preparedness standpoint is you want to have a plan for worst case scenario, particularly if you have a partner or if it's just you. You want to know what happens next if I can't do X, if I can't run the day-to-day, especially if you're working in the business. If you're not capable of cleaning, or showing up and being on site, who's going to do that? What's going to happen? Does just business just stop? Do your clients just SOL? Like what's going to happen? So have a plan for that. So your action item for this is for you to carve out time, go sit out somewhere, ideally in the sun. I'm going to sit in the grass, hug the tree kind of girl. Go figure. But go get somewhere where you can be quiet and you can have a big picture conversation about what your company's future looks like in the short, middle, and long term. So in the short term, you want to think about what's going to be ideal for me. What do I want the next few months to feel like? What do I feel like now? And is what I'm feeling like now comparable to what I want to feel like in 2, 3, 6 months? Have that conversation. Midterm is, okay, so what happens if something goes wrong? I get hurt. Business grows really fast. You just want to have some idea of a plan of what your next steps could be in any scenario. And then long term is, what's your exit strategy? I don't think any of us want to be a commercial cleaner into infinity. So what's your exit strategy? Is it to sell it? Is it pass it down to a family member or a business owner? I mean, a current employee? What's the plan? What are you doing with this business when it's run its course for you? So have that conversation, be mentally and emotionally prepared in all those levels so that you can actively be working on and in your business from a healthy space. The other part of that is, again, the employee morale. If you can boost your employees' morale and keep them invigorated and using the tools we talked about before in the employee management piece, as far as recognition and incentives and doing team building, you're going to go a long way in building a solid and healthy, or what I like to call holistic experience for your business, right? The other thing you want to do is training. You want to, and again, we talked about this before, you see that there's a lot of overlap. You want to make sure that there is a plan to train and work with employees, especially in the instance of something unexpected happening. Again, if God forbid anything were to happen to you, who's your go-to person? Who's the person who's going to be able to step up and navigate and manage the business in your absence? You want to know who that person is. Now's the time to figure that out and start having those conversations with them, right? So that they're prepared and so you can get an idea of, like, I think they're capable, but hell, do they think they're capable? So these are things you want to start doing now. And then the other part of it is what I call like the health and safety. You want to make sure that you're physically and mentally healthy and that your business is too. And that's kind of a full circle moment because it just circles back around from where we started from at the beginning of the hour to where we are now. You want to look at all the aspects of your business, all the people involved in your business, your employees, your clients, any investors or business associates or partners that you have. And you want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. Everybody's good. Everybody's operating from a place of yes. And then you want to have the action item be to develop what I call a resiliency plan for each of those pieces. Like I said, you want to go sit under the tree, have some alone time, figure out what that looks like for you. And then you want to implement that same process while bringing in your employees, your team, your site managers, etc., and have a plan also for the business at large. The last thing you want to do is basically have these kind of conversations, digest this kind of information and use it to your benefit. So you want to reflect and do some goal setting. Typically, what most people think of as goal setting is they'll make some vague statement. I want to make a lot of money. Well, what does that mean? I want to be successful. What does that mean? And the reality of it is, it's different for everybody in every scenario. And ideally, because hopefully you're growing throughout the year and your business is growing also, what making a lot of money means and what success means to you is going to likely change. So I like to attach actual specific measurable goals to things or measurable outcomes so I can create goals behind them to actively work towards them. Because if you don't have a pathway to it, it just is a phrase. I want to be successful. I could be very successful at being lazy. And if I don't have items to check off a list, I'm going to be successful at being lazy. So what I highly suggest that you do is that what I call, you get smart about your business development. You create specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals for the upcoming year. And the way to do that from an action standpoint is every week, block out time for you to think strategically about your company. So I call it pie in the sky. If I could snap my fingers, what does this look like? Ideally, you should do it weekly. Realistically, most people do it monthly, and it's fine. I think so long as you do it and invest the time and energy into it, it's going to work out better for you. And what you're going to do is you're going to continue to evolve the vision you have for your business. So you're going to pick out short-term objectives and move toward them to create, to get to the long-term strategy vision. What I like to do is reverse engineer. So what I'll do is like, this is my goal. I'll define what success is. So if success for me for 2024 is to be at, say, $1.5 million across my 3 businesses. I want to be working 20-hour weeks, and I want to take a 1-month retreat on an island and do like a detox. That's my measurement of success for this year. So, I have a revenue attachment, right? So now I got to figure out, or I got to work backwards to what does $1.5 million mean and look like? What do I have to do? How do I have to scale? What do I have to sell? What do I have to manage to get to 1.5 million in revenue? Right? And then that's not profit, that's revenue. Now, if I want to go deeper and say, and I want 350,000 personal revenue. So I want my personal paycheck for 2024 to be $350,000. What does that mean? What do I have to do to make that happen? That's how you should be planning, not just throwing out these kind of pie in the sky random ideas without then sitting down and being strategic about action items and steps to take to get to them. So your action item for your reflection and goal setting, again, you're going to be smart. You're going to provide specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound objectives that are aligned to your overall mission and values for your business. And if you don't have a mission and values for your business, again, hit us up in the chat. That's one of the things we talk about in our same framework. That's step number 1, is creating a system and a foundation for your business. So again, overall for the year, there's these 6 areas we definitely want you to be invested in all year long, but you absolutely need to get a start and a jump on your financial planning and management, your employee management, your client acquisition and retention, your mental operational preparedness, business growth and expansion, and finally, your reflection and goal setting. So I went a little bit over, but thank you for your time. I hope there was some value. And again, if you have questions, and you should have questions, like if you don't have questions, I don't know how you don't have questions. If you don't have questions, hit us up, let us know. We're here to help. And I always jokingly say, when in doubt, at the end of the year is the best time to get a coach. One, because everybody's running specials, but also it's a great way to start fresh, right? And the sooner you can start, the easier and the more time you have to kind of like let it settle and get into a groove. So if you can start getting to a groove in January, February, where most people are just really starting and likely giving up, that's going to work better for you. So by all means, hit us up. Let us know how we can help. Save this video. You can go back to it. If you're not able to start in December, by all means, start in January. There's no right or wrong time, but there absolutely is a more beneficial time. And I think that doing it now is going to afford you that.
No question. All right. So I'm say this, that definitely Jen, that was definitely valuable. Everybody needs a Jen or a Jen type on their team. Again, hit her up if you have any questions as far as the particulars of a business, how to grow a business, how to create a foundation a foundation of the business. Like she's the person. Like again, we my strength, my partner, our strength, my partner's my strength. Our strength is getting clients, getting the work done, right? But we didn't realize probably until whatever, $500,000, $850 a year, we're making even $1 million, that you can make that million, but then you can lose a lot of it if there's no real foundation in the business. There's no systems, processes, stuff like what Jen talked about, right? Because so making it, I'm not saying it's easy, but we did that. But again, keeping it without foundation is almost impossible. Right? Almost impossible. The fun part is the leads and how to get these government contracts. The real behind the scenes, where it's just you figuring this business out, is what Jen just explained, right? So again, and don't forget too, you see it down below the scroll. We're having a like an all-day Saturday, a 5-hour workshop. We're going to go through all our framework. Again, it's free of charge. Register now. There are limited spots for it. So it's cleaningbusinessgrowthworkshop.com. And if you're my friend of my what do you call it, Instagram, at Kendall Wiz, the link is in there. If you're in the group, I posted it in the blue collar, in the Clean Money CEO group. So it's out there. Again, January 6th, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Register now. Cleaning Business Growth Workshop. Folks are signing up fast. I had 12 spots go today. So just today. And again, I didn't even put it live until I think Friday. So if you got any value for that, you're going to get 10 times more value on that day. So don't miss that day out. If you have any questions, let us know. If the questions aren't right now, myself, Jen, we're always in the group. We're going to be here every Monday, and not just Monday. We're going to add on other dates, but definitely Monday we'll be here. Again, like Jen said, my thing is, like she said, do what you got to do, but try not to wait until, January 1st to get going. Right? You start now, create that momentum. So it's just it's a smoother process going into next year. And again, most businesses are going to be, lacking right now. They're going to be lacking taking this month off. That's where you slide in and, hey, I'm here. So
I think Wiz just took himself out of the chat. But thank you all so much. And again, register for the Commercial Cleaning Business Growth Blueprint Workshop. It will be on Saturday, January 6th, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can sign up in the link below, cleaningbusinessgrowthworkshop.com. There are limited spaces available. And if you have any immediate questions, by all means, at Kendall Wiz on Instagram. I'm at Jennifer G. Bell Coaching on Instagram, and as well as on Facebook. So hit us up. Thank you so much, and have a good night.